I never meant to fall in love with a man I couldn't have, but there was something about the way he touched the air around me, like he already knew how I'd breathe when I was close to him. It started with a leaky faucet. That's how mundane it was. I just moved into a duplex on the edge of East Austin. Mid-July, the air was thick with sun and sweat, cicadas humming their endless music in the trees. I was 32, freshly divorced, and surviving on instant noodles, burnt coffee, and an uneasy sense of relief. After everything with Mark, I told myself I needed time to figure out who I was without someone else needing me all the time. Then I met the man next door. He knocked on my door the first Saturday morning after I moved in, holding a small box of tools and wearing a t-shirt that clung to his chest like it was made to be there. His name was Ben. He had that kind of voice that made you listen before you realized you were doing it. Low, warm, unhurried, like he didn't have to rush anything to be wanted. "You've got a drip," he said with a smile, nodding toward my kitchen. I can hear it through the wall. I laughed, slightly embarrassed. "That obvious?" He tilted his head. "Just enough to notice. I fix things. If you don't mind, I can take a look." I should have said no, but his eyes, quiet gray, steady, made me forget how to guard myself. That's how it began, not with fireworks. With water dripping into a sink and a man kneeling under my counter, arms flexing as he worked while I tried not to stare. It didn't stop there. Every evening I'd catch glimpses of him, shirtless, watering plants on his porch, or leaning over the hood of his old Chevy truck, hands slick with grease. Sometimes I'd step outside just to feel the night air, but if I'm being honest, I was hoping to feel him noticing me, and he did. Our conversation started casual, a wave, a comment about the heat, a shared laugh over the neighborhood raccoons tearing into trash cans. But then he'd say things like, "You look like you dream in color," and I'd forget how to breathe. Once, as I passed him my half-empty mug across the porch railing, our fingers touched, just a graze, and it was like every nerve in my body stood still, waiting. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there in a tangle of sheets, the scent of jasmine from the window, mixing with the memory of his skin and the roughness of his voice. I started to notice how quiet things got when he looked at me. It wasn't just attraction, it was that slow, burning kind of pull that lives behind your ribs, the one that knows how to whisper, "Don't do this," while your body moves closer anyway. One evening, it rained. One of those sudden Texas storms that come without warning and turn everything slick and silver. I was sitting on the steps, barefoot, just letting the rain hit me. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to feel something that didn't ask for permission. He came over, barefoot too. His white t-shirt was soaked through in seconds, clinging to his skin like a secret, and he just sat beside me, not saying a word. After a long minute, he spoke. "You look like you've been holding your breath for a long time." I turned to him slowly. "Maybe I have." He looked at me then, really looked, and I felt it. The heat beneath the rain, the stillness before something gives. His hand reached for mine, not forcefully, not asking for anything, just holding, steady, warm, familiar in a way that scared me. And then, so softly, he whispered, "Can I kiss you?" I didn't answer. I leaned in because it was the only thing my body knew how to do. His lips were warm, a little rough but unhurried, like he wanted to learn me piece by piece. The rain was cold on our skin, but he wasn't. He was the kind of warmth that seeps in slowly until you realize it's always been there. That kiss didn't end quickly. It lingered. It stayed. And when we finally pulled apart, his forehead resting on mine, the thunder low in the distance, he said, "I've been trying to forget you since the first time I saw you." I laughed because that was exactly how I felt. But the thing is, I wasn't ready. I wasn't healed. I still had parts of me tied in knots from the years before, pieces of a life that had taught me love comes with cost, with silence, with forgetting who you are to keep someone else whole. Ben wasn't like that. He never pushed. He never asked for more than I could give. He waited, not like someone being patient, but like someone who already knew the moment would come, and it did. The next few weeks, we danced around each other like the space between us was stitched with electricity. He'd come by with coffee just because he made too much. I'd sit on his porch with him while he worked, pretending to read, but really just watching the way his hands moved. Sometimes I'd find his jacket on my porch in the morning, warm from his skin, smelling like cedar and something else I couldn't name. One night he invited me to dinner, just us. Just quiet music and pasta he cooked from scratch. He wore a black Henley that made his eyes look stormy, and I wore a dress I hadn't touched since before my divorce. Soft navy, low in the back. When he touched the zipper, slowly, reverently, I felt every breath between us stretch thin. "I want to know you," he said, voice low. "Not just this version of you, all of it." I looked at him then and let the fear rise. What if you don't like what you find? He didn't blink. Then I'll love it anyway. That night, we didn't rush. We moved like time wasn't something that could end. Every glance, every brush of his fingers down my spine, every kiss to the curve of my shoulder. It was poetry written on skin. We lay there afterward, not talking, just his hand on my stomach, mine in his hair, breathing together. He told me later he'd fallen in love the first time. I smiled like I wasn't faking it. It's been a year now. I still live next door, but most nights I fall asleep wrapped in his flannel shirts, listening to the sound of his heartbeat against my cheek. I never thought I'd feel safe inside someone again. But Ben never asked me to be anything more than exactly what I was, and somehow that was enough.